You're listening to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with Stacey Can, the podcast that celebrates innovation in franchising and peeks behind the curtain of failure, success, and the future of the franchise industry. This week, we are talking all about tech with the wonderful Laura Robson. Laura, hello.
Hi.
So Laura is the founder of Back Pocket Office. She was also on the expert panel at the Disruptive Franchise Awards this year, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. And Laura is an absolute expert in all things tech and automation. So Laura, are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Amazing. Tell everybody, for those of you that don't know Laura, tell everyone about yourself.
I founded Back Pocket Office 3 years ago now. Before that, in my past life, I spent 16 years in healthcare actually as a workflow and automation specialist and an IT project manager. And I found myself in business, as many people do, I think, to balance family life and try and build something of my own and trying to find a bit more freedom and flexibility. So I've translated that into small business now, and we help people design and build systems that support them as the human in their business, essentially, is what we try to do. Because when I started out, I had the same problems as everyone else. You know, we start and we're wearing all the hats and we're doing all of the things, and suddenly you've created this business that takes over your life instead of giving you the freedom that you started it for in the first place. So I like to think that that's what I do. The way that I've found freedom in my business is by adding systems to support me in it. And that's what I try and do for other people now.
Absolutely. And I think like within the franchise world, we're no strangers to systems because franchising is a business system. But I think where we kind of get a little bit caught up is what systems we should have in place or how we should be. We're constantly being told, right, you should be more efficient and all of the rest of it. But I think sometimes we stay the bottleneck in our businesses because it's the safer option. Would you agree with that sometimes?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's part of the battle's figuring out what it is that you can bring in to help. And we're in the age now, aren't we, where everything's just massive. There are new systems and tools out there every day, and everyone's shouting about the latest AI thing or the thing that you can bring into your business. And the hardest thing is figuring out what the right thing for you is, because it very quickly becomes very overwhelming if you're not sure what to bring in, and then we end up not using any of it. And as you say, then we become the bottleneck because we haven't got the tools that we need to help us grow.
I am really guilty of being that maverick new adopter, like, oh, new tech, I'll sign up and I'll be the beta. And then within about 3 weeks, I've burned myself out and gone, actually, I don't need this at all. Or actually, I can't get my head around it, so I'm going to abandon it. What would be your top tip for a business owner who's trying to figure out what they should be implementing in their business?
I think that the biggest secret for choosing tech for your business is to not make it about tech at all, and to really think about how your customers move through your business and your offers from, you know, the point that they first discover who you are on the internet to the point that they're ready to buy from you. And as soon as you understand that process, and then think about which parts of that you're spending too much time in, or places where you're, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, the same repeatable task over and over. Once you've figured out what the process looks like and what your biggest problems are in it, then you can pick the tools to fix that. Whereas quite often people do it the other way around, and they see people, you know, talking about high level or talking about Claude and talking about all of the things and think, oh, I need that. Like we go chasing the shiny things, don't we? Without figuring out actually what they would use it for and how it would help. And then we just collect like a massive pile of tech tools and things that actually aren't the right things at all. So I think it's taking it away from tech altogether and back to process and understanding actually what you need help with first.
I think that's such good advice. And I'm sure I'm not alone here, but like we're so guilty of just going, shiny object, I'm just going to go and do the thing. And actually, when I think back to like the last 2 tech implementations in my business, yes, they solved a problem or they dealt with a need, but they probably weren't invested in from a like problem first perspective. If I'm honest, I probably had something and went, okay, what can I fix with this? So yeah, I'm going to take that one on board personally.
I get it all the time. So many people will book a call with me because I specialize in a specific platform and say, I've bought this thing, what can it do for me? Like, no, that's not the right way around to do it.
I'm not quite that bad, but yeah, I can see that you get a lot of that. And tell us about that platform, because you're a Go High Level expert, aren't you, Laura? Tell us, like, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, tell them what that's all about and what it can do.
Yeah, High Level is an all-in-one sales and marketing platform, essentially. I started using it in my own business about 3 years ago now, and for my clients over the last couple of years. But what it does is pull lots of different tools into one place, which, especially if you're someone that can be overwhelmed by tech and having to use different tools for different things, it can just feel more manageable having everything under one login. So, it'll help you build courses and memberships and programs if you're in that kind of space. But what actually the majority of users are using it for is classic sales and marketing stuff. So email marketing, sales pipelines, tracking who their leads are and who they're speaking to, and that side of things. So yeah, we help people design those systems and then build them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like Go High Level, and it's actually what my agency platform is based on. It's all built on Go High Level because it meant that I could get rid of so many different subscriptions as well. So like I was using AdManyChat and like so many different things to plug things in. And what I really like about it is how customizable it is. And I very often speak to franchisors and I was one of these people as well, not that long ago, where like franchising is such a unique proposition and every franchise is so different. And I think a lot of people have to approach the tech in franchising from a like business first franchise retrofit perspective. So like, can we make this system work in a way that we need it for the franchise and all of the franchisees? And what I love actually about High Level is that you can, and we have as Impact Franchising Agency looked at it from a franchise first perspective. Okay, what is the future going to look like for the franchisees? What do I need to build? What can I control? So that flexibility is invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And when I've thought about like the franchising world as well, I just think High Level as a franchisor must be such a great asset to whatever your business in a box thing must be, because you can brand it as your own, you can build it out in a custom way, which, as you say, isn't always the easiest with platforms, but yeah, it's really customizable. And then you can just like copy that out to all of the franchisees that you've got coming in, which must make it a really valuable asset for that kind of area.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember speaking about 18 months ago to a franchisor, and she said to me, I won't like reveal any names, but she said to me, I've had this quote and it's like X thousands. And it was eye-watering to plug into this CRM, but it doesn't do this, this and this. I said, well, why don't you build your own? And she was like, can't do that tech. Oh. I was like, honestly, like you can use a really simple platform and just build onto it what you need and adapt it as you go. And she was just like, it can't be that easy. But it is, isn't it? Like, I know that we're like, I embrace my techie geek here. I'm not going to hide it, but it's a lot simpler than people think, especially when they've got the right kind of help and support.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, a lot of what holds people back with tech is the fear of them being someone that's rubbish at tech. And I think the reality is rarely as overwhelming or complicated as it sometimes feels like it might be. And yeah, you're right. There are lots of people out there, whatever system people choose, that can help to build with them or to build things for them. We forget that we can outsource any of these things that we find really difficult if we want to.
Absolutely. I think there's always a fear around outsourcing. And again, I see this in my agency as well. Like, I can't afford it. You have to really look at, okay, number one, what's the actual cost rather than the imagined cost? But also, what is the time cost? I had this with accounting recently. I'm cringing as I'm about to tell this story, but Xero, I got into a real mess with Xero this year because I started using it, but I didn't really learn how to do it all properly. So by the end of the tax year, my accountant was like, great, you got Xero, it would be really easy. And I was just like, well, actually, it doesn't quite reconcile. And anyway, I spent about 3 days. I was crying. It was awful. And my accountant, with her specialist knowledge, just came in and fixed it in about 3 hours. I'd have paid her millions for this at this point. But do you find that is a bit of a barrier with people that you help as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. I think people think about the cost as in terms of, like what they're spending out, not even necessarily for outsourcing, but for actually, the platform costs and subscriptions and things like that as well. People have got a bit of a barrier about taking out another subscription. But with something like High Level, like I pay for High Level Direct, which is about £84 a month or something like that. And that's like less than 2 hours of my time. And my goodness, how much time that system must save me. So it's thinking about how long that would take you compared to somebody who's an expert in that thing, but also what your time is worth and what else you could be doing other than battling the things. I'm the same as you. Like accounts and finance that was the first thing to go because I was just banging my head against it all the time. So I was like, no, bookkeeper, accountant, that's got to be the first thing that I outsource. And yeah, I find it a bit easier now to try and get rid of things if I know that it's just, not my zone of genius and it's going to take me hours and hours of my life to do it myself.
100% with you. And that zone of genius, I'm constantly, because like I always find as well for tech, like I'm all right at it. Like, I can figure it out. But the cost of figuring it out is so much greater versus exactly what you just said there, like what I probably could have and should have spent my time on. I completely agree with you. Let's talk about the human side of it as well, because I think, again, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but like we have this real stigma, I think, attached to tech still at the moment where, it's replacing humans and AI horror stories about like how it's going to completely wipe out like all the need for people, which of course it's a tool at the end of the day and it's human controlled. But do you think that people kind of view tech a little bit as a barrier in terms of customer service when actually it could be their greatest asset?
I think sometimes, but I also think that the people that are really worried about tech replacing like the humanity in their business are the people that will build tech the best because they're thinking about it and they're never going to go into something and completely rip themselves out of their business and, replace it with AI agents and all of the things. Like the people that I worry for are the ones that really don't care at all and are quite happy to just go and roll AI out across everything because it's really a balance. There is a tipping point, I think, between replacing lots of the human touch points that you have in your business with tech and then suddenly losing that human connection and then losing the trust that comes with it. But as long as that's something that you're aware of, I think it comes back again to understanding what that customer journey looks like through your business and being able to identify where the bits are, where it is really important to be a person. And I tend to start with the background stuff that none of my customers will see anyway. I'm still having human conversations with people. I'm still sitting on Zoom and having sales calls and answering the phone and doing all of the things. But I can use systems and AI in the background of my business to just make me more efficient and, everything running smoother. Because part of the problem with humans is that they're humans as well. Like we get so busy, especially if it's just us. It's so easy to forget that someone sent you a message or forget to follow up and to drop plates in the background. So actually bringing systems in to make sure that we don't forget to be the human in our business and to support some of that is so important because it's enhancing what we do in the service we offer rather than taking it away. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And actually, as you were talking there, Laura, I was thinking about what we were talking about before we hit record and being at events. So whether it's Disruptive Franchise or like you've been at Atomicon as well this week, like the people that you meet and those connections that you make in person are so important. They're arguably the most important element, the human side of it. But I think where tech really comes into its own then is having that system behind. So like everyone that you meet at these events, we do the lazy thing, don't we? We're like, oh, should we connect on LinkedIn? I'll drop you a message. But actually you could be a lot smarter than that and you could set up your own automation. Tim from Book That In did a great example on stage where he said, like, here's a form, go fill out the form. And then it automatically dropped everybody into a really brilliant automation. Why don't we do that when we go to, I'm just sitting here thinking, why don't I do that when I go to events when I know how to do that?
I think we've got that fear. Like a lot of people have that fear that it's some kind of scam or, that they're conning people into signing up for something and being on their email list. But I mean, especially business to business, like we all know what the QR code's doing when someone's got a QR code that links to a form. And I think people expect it. I don't think it's something to kind of think, oh, I don't want to do that, people won't like it. I think that's part of it. Part of it's fear. But I think people do expect it now. And it's just an easy way of following up, because it's so easy to walk away from that event and just not follow up with everybody, and just everyone goes about their business, and you've met some brilliant people that actually you could collaborate with, or that you could buy from, or that could become your customers. And we're just not making the most of the time that we're spending out. And, you know, we might have sacrificed a whole day or two from working in our businesses to go to these things. We need to make the most of it. 2 days is a lot of time to take out just to have a nice coffee and meet some people that you're never going to speak to again.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's even things like the Disruptive Franchise Awards. Like, there was a couple of people like, oh, we've got this idea, I want to talk to you. And like, yeah, great, book a call. Well, you're reliant on that person to like go and find my booking link, or for them to remember to message me so that I send them the link. And, you know, we've got such an easy way to collapse that time and just be like, here's the diary link, you know, like, and just having that ready. Or what I really liked actually at Disruptive was Matt's QR code, Matt Harmsworth's QR code went to WhatsApp, so that you would instantly drop into a WhatsApp conversation. Now, there's still automation there. You're still going on a list, but the perception of, oh, I'll just have a WhatsApp chat versus, oh, they're going to send me loads of emails, I thought was a very interesting psychology twist. Yeah. More tech.
There
Yes.
are so many ways that you can do it. But I think one of the other things with doing in-person things and events as well is that having your system set up in the background makes it feel less stressful that you are taking time out of your business to go to these things. I've just had 2 days out at an event this week. I can get my teeth in. And I've had 3 inquiry calls booked in while I've been out there, because I've got my systems running in the background that allow people to get in touch with me while I'm doing other things. So it's so much bigger than just, you know, capturing the people at the event that you're at. It allows you the freedom to go to events like that, or, you know, to go on holiday and do whatever you want to do without taking your laptop with you. Yeah, that's what's important to me.
I'm feeling very inspired by our conversation. I can't wait to go to my next event and set some stuff up. What is one, maybe we've covered it, maybe not, but like, what would you say is like the best way that a small business, because obviously we're seeing these like giant corporations as we film this, Elon Musk has just become a trillionaire, and it's like, it's so overwhelming, and got these big organizations doing these big things. And sometimes as a smaller business owner, we can feel a little bit like the world is stacked against us. What's one way that a smaller business owner could use tech to really find their advantage, or to really give them an advantage?
I think it really is freeing up your time to be you is the key. We don't need to be changing the world by building massive AI tools and complicated things, when actually what we could be doing is using tech to automate the mundane stuff, the stuff that's boring, that we don't want to be doing. Because the way that small businesses really stand out in an arena that can feel packed is by being uniquely them. And they're the only person that can do that. You know, we can't build an AI tool or a system to be uniquely you. That has to be you. But we can use systems to automate some of the boring stuff in the background to give you the space to then be at the front of your business and be you. And I think there was a speaker this week that talked about small business and how actually this whole kind of personal brand thing that people are talking about at the moment and that we're seeing everywhere is making tiny businesses more and more successful. And actually some of the big global brands are looking at smaller businesses for inspiration, because they've lost some of that human connection in their business because they've got so big. And that's what's being really successful at the moment. So it's far easier for a tiny business that is focused on a person running it to be that personal brand in their business than it is for like a big corporation. And I think it's allowing systems in the background to prop us up so that we can step forward and do that.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, Laura. How can people get in touch with you?
I am on all of the social media channels, which I really shouldn't be, but probably LinkedIn is my core one. So if you search for Laura Robson High Level or Laura Robson Back Pocket Office, you'll find me on LinkedIn. That's a great place to catch up. I am on Instagram, which is backpocket.office as well. So they're probably the two best places.
Amazing. Laura, I've loved listening to your insight. I think, again, we could probably talk all day and share and bounce the ideas. And that's the value, isn't it, I think, as well, of human connection, like right there, like having that bounce off of somebody. So yeah, thank you so much for being a guest this week. I hope you guys have learned and taken something. Like, what's the one thing you're going to take from this episode and go and implement in your business? Let us know in the socials. Laura, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
This episode was brought to you by Impact Franchising, the agency who offer predictable franchise growth done for you. If you have loved what you've heard, please go and help other people find it by hitting the subscribe button and liking the episode. See you on the next one.